Hey, what is going on YouTube? It's a CJ. Give you guys quick point and shoot update. The first update of 2024, and to be honest, the Eazy Reef has seen better days. Now, the last update I gave you guys was kind of checking in after we had some issues during tank vacation. Since then, the tank has kind of just been running and doing its thing. And of course, mistakes were made on my end when it comes to nutrient management on the tank, using the hybrid salt to lower the nutrients, which is what it's so good at. And then unfortunately, not checking how much it was lowering it until it was almost bottomed out again, meaning nitrates close to zero. So whenever you get nutrients bottoming out, usually that results in some kind of imbalance. And in my case, you see this ugliness, which also includes dinos. That's right. We have dinos in the reef tank, and this is not something that I really wanted to have to deal with, but we are going to deal with it nonetheless. And for those wondering, auto feeder is kicking on. Nothing came out, so auto feeder is empty. But back to the update. As you guys see, these sand bed definitely covered. Sand beds white during the night. During the day, it slowly starts becoming brown, and then peak lighting hours, it starts really taking over and covering everything, including some of my SPS, unfortunately. As you guys can see, SPS is covered. If I take your turkey baster and blow it, you will see just how much comes off the SPS. So this is definitely not good for my efforts as far as trying to keep SPS in the tank. But dinos don't care about what we want. They just care about taking over your system and just causing havoc. So this is kind of what we're dealing with now. The ultimate plan to fix this for now is really just going to be just nutrient management. I have raised the nutrients back up to around 20 parts per million nitrates and around 0.09 phosphates is where we're at right now, which is plenty of nutrients in the tank. Now we just have to kind of wait these things out. Plenty of different options when it comes to dinos. Some people like dosing things to the tank, Mycobacter 7, or different bacteria to try to outcompete it. Some people tried blackouts. Some people tried all kinds of things. Me, I'm just going to keep trying to manually remove these guys, meaning mechanically filtering them out through my filter sock. Well, my filter pad is what I use in my system, and then just trying to manually remove it. So that's what we're going to get to today. Gonna get in here. We're going to scrape this back wall, all those nasties back there, get that off. Any of the algae that's growing out of control, like this stuff. Going to remove this from the system, and we're going to try to avoid water changes for a while in the tank and just kind of let things get dirtied up. Then hopefully this issue would kind of self-resolve itself. So I know you guys, first update of the year, you was expecting greatness. You was expecting, the Eazy Reef in tip-top form, but it just was not in the cards. So I'm gonna show you guys the ugly, because everyone likes a good comeback story, right? So we're gonna bounce back from this like every other issue we've had in the tank, and then hopefully, avoid this happening again. What's going on, YouTube? We are finally back after doing a round of a few different treatments to hopefully, and I do say hopefully, consider these dinos defeated or gone from the system. And as you guys can see, compared to the last update, tank is looking a lot better. Glass is clean, back wall's clean, sand bed is looking a lot cleaner, and just overall the tank, it just looks a lot better. So let's talk a little bit more about what I did to get to this point. And I'm not going to say that this is going to be the end all be all fix for anyone with this situation, but as you guys know, I like documenting my system and kind of sharing what I do to remedy situations and hopefully keep on going and doing this reefing thing that we enjoy so much. So we're gonna do this live point and shoot style, so excuse the video footage. It may lose focus, it may mess up the color correcting on the camera, you may see some reflections, but we're just gonna roll with it because I need to get an update out on this, and this is gonna be the first update of 2024 on the Eazy Reef. So let's talk a little bit about what caused the dinos to begin with. As I mentioned in the last update, there was a nutrient deficiency in the system, mainly my doing. I caught myself trying to manipulate, having high phosphates, meaning phosphates around 0.44, nitrates around 20 so parts per million, and use hybrid salt without testing nutrients enough. Meaning I tested it at the beginning of using the hybrid salt. I thought I could predict the trend of how fast it would drop the nutrients. And unfortunately, by the next time I tested the tank was a couple weeks later after a couple rounds of water changes using it. And I discovered the nutrients had bottomed out, meaning nitrates had hit 0.0 and phosphates had dropped all the way down to 0.09. Phosphate wasn't the issue. I believe it was the nitrates dropping from 20 to 0 that ultimately opened the door for the dinos to enter the system. So once that happened, it's time to put on the boxing gloves, so to speak, and try to get the dinos removed. Now, I haven't had a lot of experience with fighting dinos, and I did not have a microscope on hand to be able to identify them, and I really just didn't have time to secure any of those things because the coils were getting covered by it, and it was just impacting the tank more and more every day. So I had to do something with what I had on hand, and what I had on hand were a few items to try to outcompete the dinos, meaning some Microbacter 7 I had left over from when I first started the tank up, some Microbacter Clean, two things that I said I would never really do again on my tank as I just didn't want to add any more bottle bacteria. But from what I understand, having something to outcompete the dinos is the best way to, defeat them. So that's what we did. So we ended up, first going through and manually removing as many dinos as I could, using, a siphon on the sand bed, turkey basing the rock, having to go down into the mechanical filtration in the sump, and doing all of this without doing a water change. That's important to mention. I did not do any water changes to the tank. I haven't in the last 2.5 weeks or so, and that's also a major change. I went from weekly water changes to none during this process. But manually removing the dinos, scraping the back wall, turkey basing the rocks, the corals, siphoning the sand, getting it all down into the sump where the filtration filter pads can collect it, catch it, and constantly removing those pads daily to physically remove the dinos was the first thing that I went to do. Now, the next phase of it, after manually removing them, was of course dosing the bacteria, the Microbacter Clean and Microbacter 7. And then on top of that, I also had some AquaForest Life Source on hand. So I ended up adding some of that to the system as well. Now the Life Source is the mud material that is wild collected. Let me give you guys another look at the system while I'm talking. It's wild collected and it's full of all kinds of bacteria and different things that are collected from the ocean that are in that bag. How much of it is beneficial to the tank, I'm not here to tell you all of those things, but what I will tell you, it was part of the cocktail I added to my system. Multiple strains of bacteria, multiple strains of just life from outside the tank to help repopulate and fight the dinos. So to help this process, I did do a blackout on the system. I did a blackout that lasted around 2.5, almost 3 days. I didn't feel comfortable going past that point, but that blackout kind of allowed, more time for the bacteria to kind of build up in the system without the dinos having the power of light energy to, keep trying to fight back against what I put in the system. So, and I believe that is kind of what gave a nice kickstart to where we're at now, which is a clean sand bed again, and no longer have SPS covered with dinos. The leathers are not covered with dinos. Just the way it looked in the first clip is just not how it looks now. So now that we're at this point, I'm gonna hit it with additional steps, meaning the UV sterilizer that I now have running again on the system. I disabled my UV when I added all the bacterias to kind of give them the best chance for outcompeting the dinos. So now that we have lights on, the bacteria had a few days to kind of be in the system. We now have turned on the UV and retuned the UV. Keep in mind, I've had a UV sterilizer on this tank basically since day one, and it was mainly focused on fish and fish health, meaning it was tuned to catch all of the ick parasites, which means a lower flow through the Pentair 25 watt UV is what I have, but it's now been tuned for a higher flow to focus more on bacteria and hopefully catching the dinos. Now, I'm not sure which dinos I had. I'm not sure if they're the ones that free float at night or if they're the ones that only attach to the surfaces. What I do know is that whichever ones I have, I'm trying to kill them both ways, meaning out competing them, and then if some are in the water column, I want to zap them with the UV. So I've been doing that. And then last but not least, I've also been dosing Phyto to the system at night to help kind of boost different things to compete with the dinos, including the copepods in my tank. As you guys know, I live in the Midwest in Kentucky. It is freezing outside. It's way too cold to get any shipments of pods or anything now. So adding Phyto to the system hopefully will feed the existing pod population, increase their numbers, and also allow them to eat the dinos as well, because pods do eat dinos. So, and I believe all of those factors came into play and got us to where we are right now, which, like I said, is a couple days post blackout. It's a little too soon to, celebrate and, say that we have beat the dinos officially, but it definitely is looking a lot better than it did. And the last thing I do want to mention to you, it's going to be a change in the light spectrum. As you guys know, I am running the AI blades. I have 2 grows and 2 glows, and there was a slight change to the light schedule, meaning I have reduced or removed the cool whites. So the tank runs blue 24/7 now since the blackout. And my thought and belief is the white spectrum, I don't know if it's true or not, I just feel like it was feeding the dinos more, either because of the spectrum or because of the increased PAR or energy in the tank because of the white light. And I think that removing that white light, for one, makes the tank look better. So if there are uglies in here, I don't see them, so I can enjoy the tank. And for 2, I just think it's not providing the same amount of energy that the dinos were getting before, which also helps give more time for the bacteria and the different things I've added to keep doing their thing and get the tank back in balance. So that's kind of where we're at right now. It's kind of a blitz of information of what's going on the Be Easy Reef, but just wanted to give you guys a look at the tank as it is now, and hopefully this will be how it stays. Then we can eventually start reintroducing the white lights, getting things back where they need to be, and then also replacing some of the corals that ended up dying from this. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and chalk this video up. We will consider this update complete. If you guys want more updates on the Be Easy Reef, make sure you slide by my Instagram at CJ's Aquariums. Hit the follow button, so I do updates there a lot. And for YouTube, we're gonna keep rolling. So as always, hey, you guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing.